Okay, people in the back, you can also have like more seats here if you want. You can also stay there.
Hey, welcome. We're here to improve our businesses with spirituality. If you're not here to improve your business with spirituality, exit us over there. So this is Yamile, famous book author, podcaster, and you don't?
No.
We have a YouTube videos.
Yeah, I have YouTube.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'm Yamile. My business is spirit guided. I'm a medium, as in talking to spirits. I'm also an author, and I sell online courses all in the spirituality space. And this is Yemoonyah.
Hi, I'm Michaela. If we could shut the door, keep the noise from the outside out. Do come in. I own a software development agency, and as a passion project, I look at business intuition. I wrote a book called Intuitive Leadership Mastery, another one called What Would It Take? And I have a podcast, Intuitive Leadership Mastery, and a website with that, lots of blog articles. So that's me. And we're going to share these handout slidey things, and I think we have the technology to share it with you right now, but we made it co-editable. So if anyone wants to co-edit and add things into it, you want to do that. So here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at 3 levels of using intuition in your business: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And I'm going to request the man in the super Hawaiian shirt there act as door monitor and keep that door shut. Because I can't concentrate when there's all that chat out there. Disrupts my intuition battery.
And also if, because we're doing it in 3 levels, so that if you feel this is getting way too woo-woo, feel free to leave.
Yes, you have the woo-woo ejector seat installed on your chairs. So yeah, we're going to also take questions and discussion in each of these 3 steps, and we've got a few resources. So that's the format of routine.
Yeah.
So just a little show of hands. Who here feels they're a beginner with intuition improving your business? Yay, about everyone. Who feels they're intermediate? Who feels they're advanced?
Yay.
Some advanced. Okay. So we've got like a very skewed, what do you call that distribution, where you've got 2 humps like a camel.
And who's ready to go more intermediate or advanced?
Yay.
Great, perfect.
Alrighty, so let's look at some tools for beginners. If you want to get started in improving your business with some tools, here are some tools. And let's just start by saying, well, why would we use intuition to improve our business? What are we going to get out of it? You know?
And especially for beginners. So these beginner tools are all focused to help with focus and grounding and having a clear mind, not being reactive to things, and for centering yourself.
Now we have some technical woo-woo terms there. Grounding. Anyone unclear what grounding means? Opposite grounding would be spacey.
Feet to the ground.
Well, that's a way to achieve grounding, absolutely. But grounded is like you're solid in your business. People can't. I try and push her off, but here's another idea. Here's a shiny object. Can't push her off.
Yeah.
She's grounded. It's like if you ever studied martial arts, that posture where they're like you can't knock them off, right?
Yeah.
Centering is similar. It's you know your inner source. I'm me. I know what I want. You want other stuff. That's fine. You do your thing. But you're not going to knock me off my goals.
Yeah. Also great for tiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Clear mind, I guess, is clear for everyone. Having a clear mind. And then the other one, reactivity. Anyone know what that means? David, do you want to explain it?
I mean, if grounding is not similar to grounding, because you would ground to become less reactive.
Yeah.
Reactivity is how quickly you are going to respond to situations and come out of your center. So how easy it is to get angry, stressed, afraid, depressed, based on outside situations and surroundings.
So as you can see, all these are fairly similar. We just use different words because people identify with different words. But they're all kind of similar. To stay grounded, stay centered in your business, in yourself.
So can you see how immediately, if you embodied those characteristics, you would be far more effing effective in your business? Because you could set a goal, you could achieve it, you could delegate, you could not be put off by customers or having a crappy day. Yeah, does that make sense? Is that something you'd like more in your business?
Absolutely.
All right, let's look at how we do it. We have meditation. We have a question at the back.
Can you zoom out a little bit for that?
Yes, for the people at the back, we're going to zoom out, show the big picture, and make the little teeny text easier to read. While she's doing this, I will continue on meditation. So I remember when I was younger, much younger than today,
Is that better?
that song goes.
Yes.
Meditation was frightening. It's like, oh, this is boring. Oh, I'm not doing it right. Oh, I'm not sure if it's working. Does anyone resonate with any of those? Yeah, many people, right, in their meditation journeys.
No shame in that.
So there are some easy ways to get into meditation. And meditation really helps with what David was saying about reactivity, because you know how when you have an angry person and the immediate reaction you have is like, pow, let's punch them out. But if you have a little, even a half-second pause, you can shift into consciousness like, okay, I'm going to react differently. Yeah. So that's what that meditation often gives us. It also connects to spirit. So guided meditations, so we have an audio body scan, or they're walking through it. So that's super easy. What you have to do is lie down and listen. If you fall asleep, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and there's tons of apps for that.
Yeah, there are apps for it. There are YouTube videos. What?
And if you want to learn some, doing 9 to 10 every day during the conference.
Yep,
Oh,
exactly.
So these are
Exactly.
guided meditations.
Every morning.
Another thing all living humans have is their breath. Yeah. You can use breath. Let's do a little quick breath work exercise. Box breathing. Who's here's heard of box breathing? Wow. You graduated to beginner level already. So box breathing is that you breathe in, hold for 5 seconds, breathe out slowly, hold for 5 seconds, and then breathe in again. So you're kind of imagining a box where you're going in, hold, out, hold, right? You do it slowly, like 5 6 each. So let's just do a one round of
One
that.
thing about that, pay attention to your own breath, because for some people it's good to do 4 counts, other people are 5 counts. I personally do 8 counts, so just experiment for yourself a little bit.
Don't feel you need to go to 5. So let's do that. Let's exhale all the breath out. In 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Hold 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Exhale 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Hold 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And relax. And normally you do several cycles of that, maybe 5 or 10 cycles. So by breathing, and that makes it forces you to breathe deeper. It gets your monkey mind something to do. A lot of meditation. You know how have you heard the phrase monkey mind before? Yeah. It's that ego thing that's chittering away. Oh, you're not good at meditation. Oh, well, this is silly. Well, why are we doing this? I don't want to do this. Can we play video games? And
especially for ADHD people.
Yeah. So a lot of meditation things like guided meditation or the other ones here, they give your monkey mind something to do, so you can get on with improving your business through spirituality.
Yeah. There's also one other way to meditate is when you focus on a candle, like the flame. That's also, because it flickers, it helps your mind to have something to do.
I will just quickly mention these. You can Google these or ask ChatGPT about them. Walking meditation, where you focus, you could either be walking really slow. The key here is you don't have your phone out while you're walking. And you don't have a chitty-chatty person with you when you're walking either. Mindful showers, just feel the water, feel the sensations, tune into it. A lot of people have showers. Has anyone ever had a shower thought? Where you have see, this stuff works.
And you can combine it. You can do the box breathing in the shower.
All right, I'm going to use the P word now. If you're prepared, prayer. I know some of you are allergic to these kind of things. So I've given a redefinition here. Intentional requests, affirmations. If you're allergic to religion or whatever, you had a bad childhood, then basically, what is prayer? What are affirmations? You're thinking something. You're asking, hey, I want to grow my profits 10%, or help me here. I'm having a crisis with this client. And you're saying it to yourself, in fact, or you're saying it to God, however you want to.
Yeah, also prayer, I heard someone say, and I like this, prayer is talking to the universe, or God, or whatever you want to call it, and meditation is listening to the universe for the answer.
Mindfulness, meditation, you know, when we talk about walking and just paying attention, or being in the shower and paying attention, anything you can do, eating can be mindful, sex can be mindful, you know, working on a spreadsheet could be mindful. Really, anything you do can be mindful if you just bring awareness to it instead of being the robot itself.
And earlier I went to the ADHD meetup, and someone said, even doing the dishes, you can do mindful. Like, really taking one thing and say, okay, I'm going to take this over here, and I'm going to set it down. And then what can I take here over here, and what can I do with that? And so just be conscious about things.
We mentioned some apps here as an example, 2 apps, Headspace or Calm. There are thousands of meditation apps out there. Those are just 2 popular ones. Gratitude practice, that's where you might write in your journal, hey, 5 things I'm grateful for today, or you might just think them as you go to sleep. Helps put your mind into a posture of gratitude instead of complaining. So there's some meditation things. I think we're going to need to speed up. So extra sleep and naps help, because when we're tired, it's hard to be in that spiritual space. We get reactive, we get grouchy. Yeah. So I personally am very strong on extra sleep, and I work out, okay, when do I want to get up, and when do I wake up like at 5 a.m., doesn't matter what. I could go to bed at 3:50 a.m. I'm still going to wake up at 5 a.m. That's how my body works. You may have a different body. So I have to back plan. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to wake up at 5, I want to have 8 hours of sleep. 5 minus 8 is 9 p.m., but I want an extra hour available to allow for problems happening during the night. You know, anyone here wake up in the night? Yeah. So I give myself extra time in bed to guarantee that I'm going to get 8 hours of rest.
So then the next one is dreams.
Yeah, you might write down your dreams. You forget. We have a question here, or just adjusting ourselves. So it helps. Sleep is not a waste of time. I used to think when I was younger, sleep's a total waste of time. I just want to be awake 24 hours a day if possible. It's when we integrate all the learnings we have. Yeah.
And also you can set an intention before you go to sleep, and then ask for the answer when you sleep, and then when you wake up, have a dream journal. Some people don't like writing, so just take your phone and use like voice notes or something. The more you do that, the more you get in tune with your own dreams, and the more answers you also get.
I also find when I've got good sleep, I'm much more creative, and much better at dealing with difficult people. Much better at hiring decisions. Anything that's not like a really robot level task. If it involves which is basically most important entrepreneurial things, involve creativity. Yeah. If you haven't got a good night's sleep, you're really effed. Unplug. You want to talk about?
Yeah, unplug and reconnect, and obviously like stillness, like meditation, but also being in nature. Go for a walk. My life very much changed when I got a dog, and I had to walk him 3 times a day. And that really helps to, and you can do mindful walking, as in like really paying attention to let you walk right. And it really helps again with the focus and the centering. And even if it's just like once around the block, it helps to like calm down.
Yeah, just get outside in the sunshine, hug a tree, you know, lie down on the grass. There's some parks about 5 minutes walk away from the hotel. Lampini, something. Yeah, Lampini, thank you. Park. Beautiful park. But if you can do that, it helps you just connect with your spiritual side and get good ideas. They have a concept in Japan called forest bathing. Has anyone ever come across that? You basically go for a walk in the forest, preferably leaving your cell phone and chatty people all behind.
And forest bathing is basically a fancy term for going for a walk in the
yeah. Let's move down because we're at the end of our time. Let's go to question discussions. We already did the exercise. You did your exit schedule. Yay.
Do you have any questions about this part, or anything that you want to share that you think is helpful on a beginner level? David?
Just the single biggest thing is teaching meditation in the beginner stage is everyone thinks they can't do it for the exact reason they need to do it. They think that they're going to meditate for 10 minutes and all of a sudden they're going to be completely calm. But instead it's the recognition of the monkey mind. It's like, oh wow, no wonder I'm so scattered and stressed and anxious. It's like, I have 400 thoughts going on in my head, and that's the very first recognition. And that doesn't mean you're a bad meditator. That means you are meditating and starting to experience the benefits by
Means you're
realizing
human.
the problems.
Yeah.
At some point, I like posing this question though, but is like, I'd like to hear people's thoughts on like the balance of just when you describe like being awareness with that, bringing awareness to every dish that you're washing and placing it here and savoring brushing your teeth, which is you said, but like, versus like you hear a lot of the Steve Jobs stories of like decision fatigue, and I wear the exact same polo, I have the exact same breakfast, it's the same bar. I try to put as much on autopilot as I possibly can. How do those, like integrating these, when they have each, and are they mutually exclusive?
I think like everything that you can automate it. Get people to do stuff for you, but then the important stuff, be mindful about it. Because then you can be more centered in general and more focused. But if you have to do the dishes, for example, then do it in a mindful way. That's
Well, and
how I do it.
a reframe for me is I don't have to do the dishes, I don't have to do the taxes, I don't have to do the swearing. I choose to do the dishes, I choose to do the taxes. Because there's a consequence of not doing dishes. I don't have a clean dish to eat with, or my spouse gets ticked off. If I don't do my taxes, maybe the IRS sends one of those armed agents to my door for an exciting interview. So,
I guess the
but
question would be
reframe
like-
as I choose rather than I have to.
I guess the question would be like maybe how to have a slow mind but a fast body, because I feel like I've
I think we're gonna have Bruce Lee's spirit to answer that question. But that is a kind of Eastern martial arts kind of attitude, right? Smooth mind, fast body. Yeah.
have awareness but not slow myself down where I'm analyzing.
And it's okay to be slow sometimes. It's not everything is speed. There's a phrase, a quote about speed. Anyone know what it
Slow
is?
is smooth, smooth is fast.
Can you say that? Stand up and say it loud. So we hold
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That's the martial arts one, and they also use it in the Navy SEALs. It's the idea of you need to slow down something until you can do it well, then you speed it up. And they force you to do that in martial arts, because if you just try to go fast, I'm not a martial artist, those are the worst punches in the world. You've got to do it 1,000 times to actually be like, I'm in the right exact movement. Then you can be faster than anybody's even eye can track. But you have to get down to the basics until you can follow out of the level.
I mean, it's that story of the hare and the rabbit, right? Not hare, right?
Tortoise.
The tortoise. The tortoise wins the race because the rabbit has ADHD and it's always So sometimes being slow and purposeful and you do it every day gets you to where you want to go with that.
So what's
Sometimes
the
by
tortoise
being
autistic?
sorry, go ahead.
And the tortoise is autistic then?
Oh, there you go. Yes, for example. I mean, sometimes if I'm like really busy and I'm like, I've got to get started on this, like I don't step back and like, well, what's the bigger picture here? Could I delegate it? Could I avoid doing this task? If we don't take some time to contemplate and think about stuff, we start doing busy work. And, the person who sat down and was more purposeful maybe figures out a way to get to the finish line like that. So, but
You also had a question, yeah.
Go ahead. Okay.
Go.
So usually I do like guided meditation, but it's really difficult for me to visualize sometimes. Like in guided meditation, they ask you to be in a certain place, do certain things, right? But
I know the answer to that, yeah.
yeah, but sometimes when I'm thinking about something, I can't visualize that thing. So why is that? Do you know?
So in spirituality, this is more advanced, but when people try to visualize something, not everyone is a visual person. So think about what is your main sense? Is it like for some people it's smelling or tasting or feeling or what are the others? Hearing is a big one. So focus on, and then for other people they just know stuff. So focus on what's your main sense and focus on that when you visualize. So instead of seeing something, you could just hear it. For example, if you visualize talking to someone, you don't have to see that person, you can just hear the conversation. Or you can feel like on an emotional level what you're trying to visualize. And that usually helps people when you do it that way. Or you just know it, you don't see it, it's just a thought in your head, that's also fine.
Let's take one more question and we're going to move on to
Yeah.
intermediate. We have more time for more questions in that section. I think this young lady here.
So definitely a new I understand the benefits of doing meditation, but I find that when I need to do it is the worst possible time to do it at the same time. So like if I'm really anxious about something and got lots of work I want to do, I'm excited about doing the work, but I also feel overwhelmed by it. And I feel like that's probably an opportunity where I need to take a moment, but I just can't bring myself to do it.
That's
Because
actually
I also feel like it'll take, like all the things that I have in my head that I want to do, I'm going to lose that if I then have to stop and go and do meditation and I'm just thinking about it, and I feel better if I was just doing it as opposed to just thinking about doing it.
But when you're already anxious, then it's actually too late. You need to, if you, for example, start with 5 minutes a day every morning when you wake up. 5 minutes is enough for the beginning because that prevents that you even get into that stage. Obviously not if you do it once, you need to do it on a regular basis, but then it helps with the anxiety in general so that it doesn't even come up. Because when you're already in that stage, yes, you can meditate, but then it will maybe take you an hour instead of 5 minutes in the morning.
I have a voice for that. So write everything down.
I hate writing shit down.
Voice notes.
Record it on the voice message or whatever. Just record it so you know it's somewhere, so you don't have to remember it. And then you can go meditate. And when you feel it, don't think about the feeling, just see what's happening in your body. Like, thoughts don't matter. But the feelings you feel, you just have to like recognize, oh, I feel it in my belly, things like that, and that could help.
I think one of the things that you said though.
Can you speak up a bit?
Yeah,
People
sorry.
are-
One of the things that you said though was I want you, but I don't want you.
Yeah.
And that's part of where having a regular practice does help, because you're building faith that meditation is a good thing, that you will be relaxed, that it will be okay. And I know many people who do that and then they don't meditate because they're like, oh, I really need a meditation right now. And then imagine this, it's like you already had monkeys in your head. Then we gave those monkeys knives. And you're like, I'm gonna meditate when they have knives out and they're angry. And then after, oh man, I do that like once a month, and no wonder I'm avoiding meditation. I'm doing it at the worst possible times in the worst possible moments. But if you're doing even 5-10 minutes every day, you're like, oh, that was really restful. Then when you start to get anxious, it builds the trigger to say, oh, the monkeys might have knives out this time, but I know it's gonna be helpful. If you're always doing it when you need it, it's just like playing a video game on the highest level and always wondering why you keep crashing.
So it's more preventive,
Yes.
But you have to
And also
like
because
doing rehab exercises.
Yeah, and also I know you go for walks very regularly, so do a walking meditation, like while you walk, do the boxing breathing, for example. That's also.
Or listen to a guided thingy
Yeah.
meditation while you walk.
One single sentence, you say you don't like writing, that post-it note can either be on the desk or in your mind. But when I write it, I'll interrupt the meditation and write it, and then it's like, okay.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, we can go ahead. We've moved on. What I want to say about a lot of these methods, particularly all of those beginner ones, we accumulate spiritual dirt. It's a bit like physical dirt and smelly armpits. And imagine not taking a shower for 2 years. You might be a little right, yeah? But if you make a habit, like I'm going to proactively, preventively take a shower every morning, then you'll be lovely and delightfully odorous. And the same with our spiritual abilities, doing it as a small habit. It doesn't have to be, we think of meditation like you're in the lotus posture for 3 hours solid. It could be 1 minute of a guided meditation. Yeah, if you want to start off easy. Intermediate. What are we doing here, Yamile?
So the intermediate exercises are about like setting your intention, staying motivated, and cultivating awareness. Anyone have questions about that? Everyone know what that means? Okay, great.
And why would these be useful for improving your business?
Squirrel. I just said squirrel.
Squirrel. If you stop the squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being able to be motivated yourself about the goals of your business, being able to share that motivation with your team and clients, do you think that would increase your business just a little bit? And being aware, having awareness.
Yeah.
Like if you have like this spidery sense that, oh, one of my staff is something not right there, you can have a conversation with them instead of waiting till they screw up some account or quit or whatever.
And then also about like, I know there was a question from someone, I think it was you, about like your why. If you know your why in your business, then it's much easier to make decisions. For example, do I want to stay small or do I want to grow? That's a big question. A lot of entrepreneurs default to, oh, I want to grow, I want to grow, I want to grow. But if you have your why, then you know how much you actually want to grow. And you don't always want to go to whatever it is, like 20 million. So that's a really important one.
Yeah, someone asked that in the forum. Thank you so much. So he asked, I'm going to paraphrase it, you know, why, does having my why help me to decide if I'm going to grow or stay small? Absolutely it does. Because when you have a clear why, not only does it motivate you, it helps you decide, right? If your why, you know, my why, I have a software business, my why is my Cold Fusion Alive Revolution. Right? The software is called Cold Fusion, and we're helping modernize it throughout the world for developers. So it's a bigger why than my business, it's a bigger why than me. It's really motivating. So when I'm doing something maybe not enjoying so much, I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing it for the revolution. You know? So let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And because we're here, like you are interested in spirituality, so the why, yes, it can be money, but what's the bigger why? So for me, for example, I like I said, I'm a medium. I work with people who want to connect with their spirits, and so my why is, one of my whys is that I want to help people who have spiritual experiences and don't know where to go because it's not a thing that you talk about in our Western society. And so that's my why, and that's my why for my business, and I do things that don't make me money, but it helps me to get to my bigger why. And so knowing your why just like focuses you.
Another way to look at why is what's the legacy or impact you want to have in the world, right? If you've ever done that exercise, you know, when my funeral comes and they're giving the eulogy, what are they going to say about me? I mean, I know that's a little extreme, but like, why are you here? Why are you running a business? It's not just to make money to spend on Starbucks or whatever, or a new house or a Lamborghini or whatever. I mean, those are nice things, nothing wrong with them. Don't get me wrong.
We're going to do an exercise in a second about the why.
Yeah,
Let's
sorry,
go
we'll
to the
skip.
rest.
All right, let's go to the what would it take tool. Who here has used the what would it take tool? Few people, all right, you're the what would it take experts in the room. So what would it take stands for what would it take? So if you've got a goal, or you've got some challenge in your business, someone got a challenge they want to share, we can work with you right now for a few seconds. Or a goal.
You all have goals,
or
come
a
on.
personal goal. You're all goalless right now.
Increasing sales.
All right, what would it, instead of saying how do I increase sales, which immediately puts your monkey mind to work, and the monkey's going, oh, what should we do, what should we do? Oh, quick, get the knives again, they work last time. You ask, what would it take to get, and let's make it specific, what would it take to get 10% more sales this quarter? Yeah, and then the spiritual part of you, or the back of your mind, can be thinking about, okay, well, it's like doing a Google search in your own mind. You ask, what would it take? And it's not focused on the how, right? It's focused on the result. And so you don't have to, I mean, one way to get more sales is, well, I'm not going to work 40 hours a week, I'm going to work 80 hours a week. Yeah? But that may not be the best way for you to get more sales. Maybe you need to improve your funnel. Maybe you need to delegate some of the sales tasks to someone else. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe you need a business partnership who's going to give you leads. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for you personally, but it just opens it up to your intuition to be like, well, what are other ways to get to the result instead of like getting stuck in the house?
So then how do you connect with your own intuition? We wanted to do this discussion. I don't think we have time for that, so we'll just move on, but it's something you can think about. Then the daily spiritual check-in. It's really about like, how aligned do I feel today? So how aligned do I feel with my why? How aligned do I feel with myself? And then when you realize, oh, I'm not aligned, figure out what would it take to get there.
Anyone here journal? Yeah, a lot of people. So what did any of you quickly get out of journaling? Why do you do it? Takes time.
Clear my mind. Yes.
Clears your mind.
Yeah.
Gives you, it helps you see ideas, see connections, see patterns.
Processing emotions.
Yeah.
Process the emotions as it's being tripped up with your mind.
Journaling is especially helpful in the morning or at night because it empties the mind. I'm someone who wakes up with like anxiety, all kinds of stuff in my mind. If I write it out, then I feel clear for the day. But other people have the anxiety more at night, so it depends. Then you do it at night so that you can sleep better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do it very often at night, especially if I can't sleep and the ADHD brain going like maniac. I can lie for hours and spinning, but
Exactly.
I
Whenever
can
your mind
just
goes
write
crazy.
stuff down and then I'll be out.
Biggest thing
as
I
soon
know-
as I've written it down.
Biggest thing I noticed is how humbling it is to look back at something I thought was super important enough to write down 3 days ago, and I don't give a shit about it now.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right.
So we
So
wanted
let's,
to do the exercise really quickly, just for yourself. Do you have something to write for
Yeah.
yourself? Just take like 2-3 minutes and reflect on like what's your why. Like your bigger why. Yes, money, but what's around it? What's your legacy? What do you want to accomplish? How do you want to change the world? That kind of thing. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be small, right? Just think about it. And if you don't know what it is, then you know you need to journal about that another time. A bit more. So take 2 minutes and then we can share.
yeah, if you don't know what it is, you might have write down why you want the why.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
All right. 2 minutes ended early. Monkeys are active again.
So anyone want to share their why? David, you know your why, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I want more conscious people in more of the world working on cooler projects.
Nice. Okay, great. Anyone else have their why? Or just as, yeah, go ahead.
Just wanted to say, I really like this question, why do you want to why? Because that was a thing for me for a long time, and I thought, man, I don't have a why. I mean, sure, it's be a decent person, have a positive impact and all of that, but I was struggling to finding one, and it's kind of liberating. So maybe you don't need like this specifically defined why, but I find it helps you to trust your intuition more if you have one.
Yeah.
I mean, for those people who are not used to having a why, first of all, it's a book called, what's it called, by Simon Sinek.
Start with why.
Power
right.
of Why.
Yeah.
Very famous, $1 million bestseller book. Talks about how it's useful in building business and in motivating teams. If you're an influencer, having a why helps you have much better influence, be a thought leader. The other thing is, if you're having difficulty with this, you don't have to come up with a big why. You can just say, look, I've got this task to do, 3 cold outreaches this morning. And what's my why for this little task? If you do anyone here do Pomodoro method? You do half an hour. Before you do your Pomodoro, write down what's the few words about why am I doing this particular Pomodoro thing? You could go further and write down what's the result I'm trying to get for that.
Yeah, that's in the advanced section.
Yeah. Speaking of the advanced section, should we go to the advanced
Yes.
section? We will take more questions later.
Yeah. So the, sorry.
So advanced,
There it is.
effectiveness, alignment, spiritual health, and protection.
So
What's
this is
thing
the
here?
woo section.
How do we get rid of that?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So, more advanced spirituals help you be more effective, get more results quicker, without having to do so much work. Might make you and your team align with these big whys and goals.
And also alignment, because this is like the very blue section. Alignment is also being aligned with the universe, being aligned with your spiritual team. We will talk about that in a second.
Did anyone go to the culture talk earlier today? Okay, well I went to that. Culture and values are spiritual tools. They're phrased more practically. But what do you think you're doing? You're giving a spiritual kind of alignment to your team about, well, what values do I need you to follow when you're making decisions? And then spiritual health, I don't care what cosmology you have, whether you're Jewish, Christian, agnostic, atheist, believe in AI, overlords, it doesn't matter. You can get help from the spiritual realm.
Yeah, we will talk about that in a second.
Remember, you will have an ejection seat. And then protection. There are good spirits, there are neutral spirits, there are fucking evil spirits in this world.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to shatter your
includes
worldview of fluffy rabbits and rainbows and unicorns, but there are people who are not nice.
Yeah.
You probably encounter some not nice customers or not nice staff. Some of them have a spiritual issue going on.
So let's start with something very easy.
Sorry.
Yeah. How to tell when you're aligned or out of alignment.
Well, but before, I just going to interrupt. What's the benefit of having these things to anyone in the room? Your business. How's it going to increase your business? If you were able to be aligned, your team was aligned, you were more effective, you can get help from the spirit world, you can get doped up by all the spirits.
David is our unofficial helper, so go ahead.
Feeling like you're in flow and you don't need to know the future, there's less of a dependence on, I need to get to this, will I get to this, worrying about the future, reflecting on the past. It allows you to stay in presence and trust and get messages as they come.
Yeah.
Does everyone know what being in flow feels like, or what it means? You ever
Anyone
done a
doesn't
task
know?
where it just went easy? Yeah, does anyone not know what being in flow is somewhere in your life?
And then also the spiritual health, so this is where my stuff comes in a lot. You don't have to, it's not just you. So if you have like a spiritual team around you that can help you. So it's kind of like having a board of directors that help you.
We've got a whole detailed section on that
exactly.
we're into, and we want to get to it. So.
Yeah. Do you want to do the consultation?
Yeah, so how do you know if you're aligned? An easy test is, do you feel expansive? Do you feel a yes to the universe or this particular thing or this person? Or do you feel a contraction and a no? So think of someone who you like, someone you really feel resonant with, maybe you love them, they're a wonderful person, or maybe it's a person, a biography you've read of someone like, oh, I really admire that person. Okay, notice how you feel. You feel that expansion, you feel more open. Yes, no, maybe? Yes. Yeah. Now think of someone who is a fucking idiot arsehole. What's that term Jody used? Knobhead. Knobhead. This is a British term. Think of someone who really gets on your nerves. Now notice your energy. Do you feel something different? Right, you now just learned how to tell if you're aligned. If you're thinking of a business goal, and you check in with your body, like, do I feel open to that? Oh, no, I don't. Well, what's wrong? Maybe I need to tweak it, or maybe I need to clear some resistance to myself. Maybe I need to assign it to a different person. Gives you a clue. I mean, to put it in other terms, do any of you here drive a car? Do you ever get an intuition that, like, hey, I need to slow down, there's something happening here? No? Maybe not. Okay. Well, in my podcast, I've interviewed people who are in the military, and sometimes some of them have been driving along, tootling along, and they're like, shit, I need to pull over and duck, and then a bomb goes off. And they had an intuition that, like, they needed to do something. Because probably there's something, if you want to take it out of the spiritual realm, probably their subconscious saw a few weird things, and they didn't consciously see it, but they put it together. Or when you're hiring, if you ever hired someone, you kind of had this gut feeling, oh, something doesn't seem right, then you hired them, and they turned out to be, what's that word again?
Not here.
So, all right, let's move on to.
Yeah, I ride a motorcycle, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because on a motorcycle, like a car, on a motorcycle, if you're not in the moment, if you lose focus for even a second, what happens?
Yeah, the car can cross lanes, there's a lot, too many variables to even predict.
Yeah, you've got to be in the flow. Yes.
I don't know, just go off on a tangent, but I've had moments where I've had that voice, like the intuition, but then I'm not sure if it's intuition or just a thought that maybe just popped into my head, but then I realized later on, actually, no, that was my intuition. I should have just stuck with that original thought.
Yes.
Is there a way to sort of know if it's intuition and not just a random thought or a random fear or?
What I recommend is keep an intuition journal.
Yes.
Write down whatever you're saying, and then how did it turn out later, so you can see when it was, when they worked out. So you get a more evidence-based thing.
Yeah, you
this is
see
working.
60% it worked out, 70%, 80%, and then oh, I should maybe pay more attention.
And maybe some notes about, how are you getting this intuition? Are you feeling it in your body? Do you have a dream? What works best for you? Some people get it.
I see it.
You see it, okay. For you, that's how you get those. And maybe you can check in, you can ask, do I feel, when I think about whatever it is, that intuition, is this guy a knobhead? You're like, yes, I get a strong yes on this.
Strong knob.
Strong knob feeling. You're
Strong
not
Or maybe how
And
you
also-
guys said there's different kinds of spirits. How do you know the difference between the devil interjecting fear into your life versus a guardian angel protecting you?
Well, the devil lies, unfortunately.
Yes.
And the devil manipulates. So he can, and his minions can pretend to be good guardian angels. So I'm just going to go spiritual for you people. Okay. What I use, I just say, reveal yourself to true self in the name of Jesus Christ, and that gets rid of lies. They can't lie through that phrase. So that's a way. If you have another way to connect to God or to your spiritual energy, if you're not Christian or whatever, it's fine. You can consult with your inner thing.
Yeah,
You can
also-
meditate. You can ground.
Also, what I do is I see connecting with higher beings as the same way that I connect to people. I don't immediately invite them into my house. I build a relationship very slowly. And so if I get an intuition and I think it's coming from a spiritual being, then I don't immediately act on it. I don't immediately ask what's the purpose of my life. I start with small stuff hey, is this just like I would with you? Hey, is this guy okay? Is he giving me good advice? Is he telling me bullshit? And then you either continue the relationship or you don't.
Yes, no one night stands with the devil.
Long-term relationships.
Great question. So we've got 15 minutes left. Let's look at working effectively in 3D when you're moving 5D. So 3D is the material world. That's the question some of you are asking. What is this 3D thing? 5D is the spiritual realm. We're skipping over 4D. It's kind of a halfway house. So the problem. Do you have any woo-woo friends? They're like, I don't know. Have you ever noticed that some woo-woo people are like woo-woo? They're like spacey and they can't get anything done, and when they try and deal with their online banking, it totally doesn't work. Has anyone noticed that? Yeah. So the more we ascend, the more we become more spiritual, the risk is we disconnect and float off. And some of us were that way to start with, right? Personally, I believe in reincarnation. I think some of us were on planets where we were all love bunny, blue balls of light. Oh, it's all love, we're all one. We don't need to deal with banking. We have crypto. So when we incarnate on this planet, it's very dense energy here. For me, as a spiritual person, it's hard to get to deal with taxes and government bureaucracy and airline rules and whatever. So, can anyone resonate with this, or is it just me who's spaced out? Yeah, so some of the things, this is important, if you follow this kind of spiritual path. To me, entrepreneurship is a spiritual path. Because by growing a business, it brings up my shit, right? If I have little small personality defects, suddenly I do business and I have $1 million of money, they're all magnified. It turns into a disaster. So
that's also why we started with the like grounding and aligning, because we need that connection to our 3D realm. Otherwise, you're up there, like she says, hopping around like a little bunny.
So let me give you an inspirational vision here. My belief is the whole world is shifting away from fear and scarcity to love and abundance. Okay? And I think I've seen that in my friends in small increments. Some people are moving faster, some are slower, some are resisting, some are jumping into it through daily meditation or whatever your spiritual thing is. But I think this is where the whole planet is going. And here's the thing, we're not going to check this, the world's going to stay the same. We're still going to have chairs and tables and food and what have you. The difference is we'll have this overlay of this spiritual viewpoint. So you can have two different people who have the same thing happen to them, right? One of them is going to get very irritated and try and force it to happen. The other person's going to be not reactive and be more loving and compassionate. Right? I'll give you a little example. I'm in the supermarket, the person ahead of me is like ditzing around and dropping their money, and I'm like in a rush. I could get irritated, like, hey, what are you doing? Get out of the way. Or I could be thinking, oh, my dad's a bit like that. Oh, I'll just be a bit more compassionate. Maybe they were in the war and they got PTSD. So it can just affect how I am in the world. And I see it as we're going to have both worlds. We have right now both these world views at the same time. Some people are really heavy into this 3D world. They're like focused on money and sex and drugs and whatever else 3D people get into. Other people are into like meditation and intention and whatever. Psychedelics, yeah. But they're both. Do you know what I mean by overlay? They're both here at the same time, right? We've got the exact same physical reality, but people. Do anyone ever see the movie The Matrix?
Yeah.
Do you remember that once Neo came out of the Matrix, then he goes back in?
Yeah.
He's like totally different. He's still got all the Matrixy people there, but he can behave differently. And he has superpowers at that point.
Here's a fun statistic to show how we are actually shifting. So there was a questionnaire, what's the word? In the US, they generally asked the general public, like if they believe in higher beings, and 50% of Americans believe in angels, and I think it was 20% who say that they think that they have been saved by an angel at some point. This is like really like high numbers, and they did the same study like 20 years ago, and it wasn't close anywhere to that.
All right, let's talk. Speaking of angels, let's go on to spirit guides. We can take questions, and we'll leave space for that. So, angels are an example of spirit guides.
Yeah, so spirit guides, I identify 7 different types. So angels, ascended masters. Anyone know what ascended masters are? Go ahead.
Well, at least from the Indian tradition of people who have separated past that 5D capability are no longer in the 3D world, they've ascended, but you can still contact, work with, come back.
So very famous examples are Buddha, Jesus. Everyone knows these two, right? But there's like hundreds of them. They usually followed a spiritual path, became masters in that spiritual path, and reached what we call enlightenment. And if you believe in reincarnation, they usually don't reincarnate anymore, but work with groups of people. Like Jesus obviously works with Christians, but there are other people that also connect to Jesus.
Is it like saints?
Yeah, saints are examples.
Yeah, saints are also exactly, yeah. And so then we have nature spirits, which are some cultures know them as elves, fairies, etc., gnomes, whatever. You have them in every culture. They have different names in different cultures. They really help with manifesting, so they're really good for entrepreneurs actually. So going out in nature, connecting really, and going out and really looking at a tree and seeing it as a living being that can help you. For example, just sit with a tree with your back towards the tree and feel the energy going up and down. It helps to align yourself with your own nature, because you're in nature and connected with nature.
This is big in Japan. They have this whole Shinto philosophy or religion, having looked at it, and they have temples devoted to different spirits of music, spirits of trees, and ancestors.
Yeah, ancestors is another one. I mean, we all have ancestors, right? And we inherited stuff from our ancestors. Sometimes it's not so great, and we need to work on that. And sometimes it's great stuff, like skills, like entrepreneurial skills, or you're really great at meditating, or you're really great at math, or whatever it is. So connecting with your ancestors on a spiritual level opens these lines so that these skills can come to you. But sometimes you have to work through like the generational trauma first. So that could be whatever, addictions or poverty or what else? Any examples?
Oppression.
Yeah,
Abuse,
exactly. Abuse.
rape,
Yeah.
war,
So
murder.
working with that generational trauma is not just, it feels unfair because it wasn't you, but it helps because then it opens up and then the skills and the talents can freely flow to you and it makes life easier.
Also, I just want to say, in fairness, you're helping clear your ancestors' shit. If they have trauma, and even though they're dead, you can still go and work and clear their stuff selfishly, so you can have a better life and 10% more sales in your business.
Yeah, that's true. And then to go super woo, there's also what I call star beings. Other people know them as aliens. And obviously some people think that we reincarnate, and you can also reincarnate on different planets, different dimensions, and you probably wear a different being on another planet. And so you can connect with these as well. And then you can actually, so the star beings often are connected to certain planetary systems like Sirius, Orion, etc. And there's a whole community around that, and actually, like there's certain characteristics that go with, like similar to star signs in a sense, with like Orion people, Sirius people, etc.
Now, if you're having a woo allergy attack right now,
Yeah.
you can think of people you admire. Maybe there are other entrepreneurs you admire, or maybe there are warriors, or maybe the philosophers, or maybe you have a grandfather or grandmother who you're like, yeah, they were really good at whatever, they were really persistent, you know, or whatever the whole thing was. So you can use, you know, you can pick biographies of people like Steve Jobs, someone mentioned earlier. You know, if you buy him, you can put him on your spiritual advisory board. You don't have to pay him anything. A, he's dead. Secondly, it's a spiritual thing, right?
Yeah. And spiritual, let me really quickly explain. Spiritual advisory board is basically that you pick a few spiritual beings, doesn't matter which ones, ancestors, doesn't have to be related to you, whatever, like this star being and a nature spirit, you put them on your team, and then when you have problems with your business, you just kind of like meditate, go inside and talk to these beings. Doesn't matter, like feel free to imagine it, right? And you talk to them and get info from them and advice. So that's super helpful.
And I wrote down superheroes there. If you think, you know, Wonder Woman would be great to ask about, you know, marketing, then you can ask her. You know, they don't have to be real. They can be dead. They can be living. They can be imaginary.
And the imaginary works because basically, because Wonder Woman, for example, was created as a spirit by humanity. So because there's so much energy that went into that character, it kind of becomes its own thing, like a robot, like AI, same thing.
So yeah, and it's sort of similar. Have you ever heard the question, what would Jesus do? I don't want to make this a Jesus whatever, but you can ask, what would Churchill do? What would Steve Jobs do? What would Genghis Khan do? And just see what comes to you, you know, what would they do? And this brings me to the, my personal belief, this is a little controversial, but I think you can take past people. Now, Genghis Khan was known for rape, pillage, you know, war, you know, taking over whole large areas of Asia and Europe. But he was pretty goal-directed, you know? If you needed to get a goal up, you like to check with him, like, hey Genghis, you know, what would you do to get the team motivated here? You think we'll chop a few heads off? Metaphorically speaking.
So that's how Michaela, I see it a little bit different. I like to work with spirits that are generally friendly, but
yeah, I like to have a fractional spirit. Quickly, we're going to mention spiritual attacks. Maybe we can just say, my personal belief, there are spiritual attacks. Like, sometimes I used to get migraines for no reason. You know, it's not like I'd done a whole bunch of acid or whatever. And what I've realized more in the last 2 months is this was a spiritual attack. When we shine our light, yeah, which is putting more love in our life, it tends to attract other spirits. They get confused between my light and the light being God, or the universe, whatever you want to call it in cosmology. And so it can attract these ghosts or spiritual beings, and they want to like, ooh, look, there's some light. And now I've got a headache, or I can't get excited in bed, or whatever. And or maybe I'm losing my motivation for the task, or whatever. So I think spiritual attacks are real. You can protect yourself with spheres of light. You can banish the things. I found more recently that banishing things in the name of Jesus Christ is quite what like, because they kind of don't like that name.
But also, if you don't believe like in spiritual beings attacking you, we all know there's people that suck your energy, right? And it's the same protection. So basically, what I do in the morning before I even leave the house, I focus, I connect myself with the earth, I connect myself with the universe, and then I build a shield around me, and I do it from my third chakra because this is our power chakra, personal power, and so I put that shield around me, and then I go about my day, and it really helps. And then if I encounter someone who's like not very nice, then I just visualize that again, and don't let that person into my field, even if I have to leave. But it's just a reminder, like this is my space, I don't need to have or accept negative energy in my field.
And then cord cutting is if people are sucking your energy, they attach a cord to somewhere in the body. You may end up with backache or a headache or a neck ache. I mean, to me, neck ache is literally there are pain in my neck. That's an expression we use. It's literally, that's what we say. And you visualize that cord, an energy cord, you cut it, using some scissors or a knife or Archangel Michael's sword of truth or whatever. And then the key with cords is you've got to feel where it's in your body and heal the wound in your soul and let that cord attach. Because often you have some misguided sympathy to them, or you're kind of boundaryless, kind of wishy-washy person, or whatever it is. And if you heal how it attached, they can't reattach it.
Yeah, it often has to do with childhood. If you, for example, had parents that made you always do whatever they said, they were very authoritative. Then you're used to being a people pleaser, and so that's easy then for people or spiritual beings to attach to you and suck your energy because they're kind of used to allowing things.
This man is raising his finger.
Just one thing about this. If any specific thing sounds rude, pop it and ignore it, because every single tradition, I've studied probably 15 so far, has some form of protection. Like when you're saying Jesus Christ protect me, I was just in a Muslim country that have it, Hindus have it, Buddhists have it. I've spent time in many indigenous traditions, every single one. So go with what resonates with you.
Yeah,
as long as you have something that allows you to believe that you can protect yourself.
If just one thing from today's workshop, I could use that. Use that. If some of this stuff's too woo-woo, or it's not for me, or I can't visualize things, or whatever, that's fine. Don't use it. Just use what's useful. I suggest we end with an exercise where you turn to pick a partner you're near,
and come up with one spiritual being that you want on your team. Just one. Pick one.
Take 1 minute.
You got it already? I'll see that. No, box for that.
Your attention. You have 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes to meditate.
No, anyone want to team member they want on their spiritual advisory board? David, come on.
Yogananda.
Oh, nice one.
What was that?
Yogananda. He wrote the autobiography of the Indian. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Anyone else? Did you pick someone?
Steve Jobs.
Perfect. Anyone else pick Steve Jobs?
Get
There you
off.
go.
Great thing is, this is spiritual advisory, you can have 1,000
Nice
people
one.
with it.
Gandhi, anyone else pick like, what did you have?
I picked Gandhi.
Oh, there you go.
Gandhi.
St. Patrick.
Same Patrick.
Why that one?
Doing this same business.
Anyone else?
I have a big brown bear.
Say again?
A brown bear.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, animals can be great spiritual.
Yes, I forgot that one. Animal nuts.
Say dolphin.
Dolphin.
I'm more obsessed with whales and dolphins. I just feel like I'm gonna pick a dolphin because they're just super smart
Yeah.
and intelligent. Look like they're having fun. Any other mammal that has sex for pleasure.
All right, so we're going to share this whole document handout through 3 methods. The WWIT app for this meetup. You can sign up for it, you'll see it there. We'll share it in the, I made a DC forum thread. I don't know how many of you saw that. Straight from the WWIT. We'll put it in there. You're welcome to put, if you think of more questions later, this may provoke more questions than the
Yeah, or
answers.
if you have any
Feel
resources.
free to ask more questions in that forum thread because that shares it with other DCers who may be interested. And then I'll share it to WhatsApp. It could be a little one of us to share it. So please continue the conversation. I think it's a very important thing at this point in time because the world is going effing crazy. And this is a way to stay a bit more sane and keep your business running smoothly and growing while other people are having trouble.
Yes. Thank you so much for being open and coming to this talk.